So this is the least technical talk I've ever given. I got a lot of feedback last time that people couldn't follow the math. This time, just like last time, there will be no math in this. This time I'm not lying. So what I'm going to show you is a couple of stories, one of catastrophe and one of success, and they're both based on my own experiences. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to steal a couple of terms from Freud. We're going to redefine them and use them for our own purposes. So to start with, in at least my head and probably your head as well, there are a couple of personas. The first one I'm going to identify as the id. This is the source of your passion and your enthusiasm and anything that gives you the sense that you can affect the world around you through your own efforts or imagination is coming from this piece of the persona, and it's necessary because without it, otherwise you wouldn't get out of bed to go to work in the morning. However, there are maladies that can affect your id, and resulting in, if it's overactive, that's panic and fear. You're overthinking it, but also procrastination, boredom, and apathy, which are probably more common and possibly more detrimental. So the sort of subtext of this is some people say that time is your most valuable asset. I'm countering that and saying not necessarily. Your energy, attention, and focus is the missing piece. Ego is the rational side. This is the analytical side. Even if you're not a technical person, this is your technical competency in the type of task that you do, and it's sort of your sense of mastery in something. So without this, no amount of passion is going to accomplish anything. You're just going to be a very excited ball of destruction without actual technical skill. So just like the id, there can be maladies of the ego, and they result in analysis paralysis, scope creep, executive dashboards, and pareidolia. So if you're looking at the number of clicks on an individual keyword and it's 102, you are guilty of this. You are looking at too granular data and not making decisions based on things that actually matter. So I'm going to give you a story. This is the calamity story. This is pool supply world in 2010 when I started as a software engineer. We had 100% of our 2010 numbers. That's best I could share. And there were 2 engineers. And as we added engineers, revenue followed. We felt invincible. So we figured, aha, we're very brilliant and everything we touch turns to gold. Hire more engineers. We hired 7 of them. And now a short aside and some ham-fisted foreshadowing. Let me introduce this book to you. What I Learned Losing $1 Million. The author of this book was a stock trader. It's a little bit different niche, but similar levels of stress compared to some of the things we were doing. He had some successes early on, thought he was invincible, and let hubris run rampant, and then he sort of did an analysis of where he went wrong. And as you can probably imagine, anyone who has a certain run of success starts to think there's something special about them. Their insights, their intuition is better than other people. I am the most guilty person I know of this, aside from the author of this book and some fictional characters. Same principle. Now, the revenue did go up, but it didn't go up proportional to the number of hires we made, and we made just as many non-technical hires. This was the most painful thing I've ever done in my life, was that downsizing going from 2013 to 2014. So I make a lot of jokes. That was a serious business. I'm not going to make light of it. That was a painful thing. The good news is revenue did continue to grow. What that taught us is that revenue was coming from the cumulative effect of our effort over years, not because we were fucking geniuses and could do no wrong. Clearly, we could do some things wrong. But I have another story that I think is going to be a little more uplifting that I can follow with. But I wanted to phrase this just a little bit differently, quoting Richard Feynman, because anytime I can quote Richard Feynman, I sound smarter. The first principle that you must not fool yourself, and you were the easiest person to fool. This is true for both id and ego. When Rome was burning, I was working on multi-touch attribution nuances. Valuable, but not the big picture. And my id convinced me that I was invincible. This is Troy. He owns a brick and mortar shop in Tempe, Arizona, right next to ASU. He sells ASU stuff. He's very successful. He has a website. This is a wall of text, and I apologize, the green parts are the important thing. He hated working on his website. It was a complete disaster, and we met through a mutual acquaintance. And I realized that as he was describing the challenges with his website, he wasn't talking about revenue or anything. It was a pain to get things done. It was just a constant grind. And I related to that. And I realized all you really need to do is make the job fun again. So he was an entrepreneur, a business owner. Everyone here has that kind of spark, or you wouldn't be here tonight. There's something fun about your job, and he had lost it. So what I did was I gave him a little bit of homework. I gave him some cart and checkout updates. Not because he needed to make those, but he did. But rather to see what the barriers were. What are the things that don't matter that were stopping him from making these improvements to the site and having fun with it again? So it was fun because he was buying the beers and I was giving him homework. This seemed like a great deal to me. And so I gave him these tasks as a test drive of the dreams he had for the website. And the whole idea of a test drive is not necessarily to get from A to B, but to learn the capabilities of the vehicle, to determine what kind of value can this provide over time. And the idea of a test drive for a cart update or something like that gives you the opportunity to do something that's low risk, because you're not betting your career on this, you're just trying it out. And if you push your way through, you'll find that most of the barriers are surmountable. They're things that you can get past and you can fix, and then you accidentally end up being wildly successful. So it's sort of a mental barrier breaking down process, but also you're also narrowing the focus of the conversation. The result for Troy was dramatic. After a month of cleaning up shop, he managed to increase his web sales by 40%. Now this is a store, an e-commerce augment to a brick and mortar, so it's smaller than some of our revenue numbers might be, but it was enough. The guy liked his job again. He liked working on this, and it was partially because he'd broken down those barriers so that his id could come back to life and his passion was reinvigorated, and he identified through ego the technical portions where he didn't have the talent either in his own skill set or the people that he could tap, and he was able to fill in those gaps. So by breaking down the barrier and having fun, again, he hit sort of a flow state, which is what we're all really trying to get to, where your entire being is focused on this high productivity output state. And if you can find, one, a finite problem you can work on, and two, the passion and enthusiasm to work on it, you're effectively invincible. And that's what Troy was, and what I was after I'd learned my lessons the hard way. So what I want you to take away from this, the least technical Roy presentation ever made, is that you should try and see what about your alarm clock going off in the morning on a work day is annoying to you. Why are you not excited about going to work as much as you might used to have been? Fix that first and success will follow, and I promise you it's in that order. Thank you.